Hey everyone, it's Rachel with DV Allies. So today what I want to talk to you about is something that I've heard from several different women. That is kind of the idea of, if you don't do what they, fill in the blank, say, then you really must not be that scared of him. So just some current examples I have. One woman I've talked to was told to file for a restraining order against the man who threatened to kill her while she was pregnant. And she made the decision that it was best if she did not file for a restraining order because she had fled the state where they were, and she was in a different state. And she said, if I file a restraining order, he's going to be served and he's going to know what state I'm in, and then he can find me. And I don't want him to find me. I don't want him to know where I am. And she said, everyone's getting so mad at me. Like, he threatened to kill you. You need to file a restraining order. And I was like, no, I'm in agreement with you. You don't want him to know where you are. Sometimes there are reasons, very often actually, often there are great reasons to file restraining orders. But in her case, it made a lot more sense for her not to. And apparently she said people were getting mad at her for not listening. Which, side note, if you are one of those people that's getting mad at someone for not listening to your instructions, you should not be a DV ally. And you should probably rethink your strategy in life anyway, because what's our big buzzword around here? Autonomy. People get to make their own decisions. So another example I have is where somebody did file for a restraining order. She did what they told her to do, and he was in jail because of his actions against her. And she stopped at a gas station to fill up her tires in her car, and some of his friends saw her there and assaulted her. And so in her words, a piece of paper is just a piece of paper. So sometimes even if you do what they say. And another one, it's a woman I know that I interviewed, and she really should be leaving her husband, but they're still together because she knows from experience that if she tries to leave him, he will harm their child. Should he do this? No. Should there be accountability for that? Yes, of course there should. But the family court system is much more forgiving on that type of stuff than it should be. Therefore, for the time being, she feels that she needs to stay in the home so that she can be there to protect her child. And that's a tricky one, if I'm being honest. It's hard to watch, but I have to trust her autonomy because she's the only one in her relationship, in her home, knowing exactly what she's experiencing day in and day out. And that's really, really important to keep that in mind. So I guess the point here is, very often we're told what we should do. And then the idea is, if you don't do that thing that whoever is telling you to do, then obviously you're not that scared of him. Let me ask you this. If you were pregnant and the father of your baby threatened to kill you, would you be scared? Dumb question, right? Yes, I would be too. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the best strategy is to file a restraining order. And I would argue that it's really best to leave these types of decisions up to the woman herself, and then the more trained professionals that are involved in her case, whether she's got a DV advocate or sometimes a therapist or a lawyer, but they often aren't super well trained in DV. But the bottom line is she gets to make the decision, and it is your job to either support the decisions that she makes or step back so other support people can step in. She doesn't need you questioning her decisions or telling her she's protecting herself and her children wrong compared to what you think you would do in the situation, because even people who have been in their own DV situations have not been in that particular situation. And so it's real easy for us to think that we know what we would do in a particular situation until we're in it. So if she says he's dangerous, there's a good chance he's dangerous. And if she says that it is not in her best interest to file a restraining order or call the police or file for divorce or whatever other thing you think she needs to be doing, she's also probably right. And please support her. Have a great day. As usual, subscribe and let me know if there are other things you want me to talk about, what you're curious about in this space. See ya.